Nomiki, Konst, Executive Director of the Accountability Project, and Gianno Caldwell, he's Republican Strategist. Thank you for joining us this morning here. So, both of you, I mean, we have seen this time and time again, and the president is absolutely right. It does seem routine. So I want to start off with you, Nomiki. Do we think, because we haven't seen it so far, if there really is political will to do something about this, that it is a political decision and political action that needs to take place? Many people still disagree.
Well, when 90% of Americans, including NRA members, Republicans, Independents, Democrats, all agree that we need tighter background checks, that we need to close out these loopholes, it is time for action. And that's when it shows that the Congress is being held by the NRA. I mean, there's no other explanation than the NRA is ruling our Congress rather than the people. I mean, listen, when there's a shooting a day, there is a murder an hour by a gunshot wound. When is it not time to be political? We have to take action on this because at every moment, communities are affected by gun violence. So I think that, Nancy Pelosi should have called for this hearing years ago at this point, and it's only really as a response to the ridiculous hearings over Planned Parenthood and the Benghazi hearing that are purely political that I think she's trying to make a statement. And listen, if we have these hearings, the public will hear about these deaths. They'll hear about the gun violence. They'll hear the data. They'll hear how Australia had one mass murder 20 years ago, imposed tighter gun laws, and guess what? No more mass murders. They're going to hear the evidence that really makes the case that gun violence is an epidemic, a public health epidemic in our country.
Gianno, I want to bring you into the conversation here because we have heard from a lot of the presidential hopefuls, and one of them was Jeb Bush, and a lot of people were really kind of confused about the tone in what he said following the comments that he made after the shooting. So I want you to react on the other side. Just listen.
I had this challenge as governor because look, stuff happens. There's always a crisis, and the impulse is always to do something, and it's not necessarily the right thing to do.
No matter what you do, guns, no guns, it doesn't matter. You have people that are mentally ill, and they're going to come through the cracks, and they're going to do things that people will not even believe are possible. And, it's not politically correct to say you can have the best security, you can have the best everything, but people are able to get in and do this just terrible damage.
So, Gianno, I want you to, I know the campaign, Jeb Bush's campaign, fought back and said, look, it's been taken out of context. He certainly wouldn't mean to sound callous, but the fact that he said stuff happens, a lot of people are looking at that and thinking, God, that really is tone deaf.
Well, I think what it is it's a soundbite, right? And the left has taken it and made it something more than what it is.
Well, you heard it. I mean, it's not just a soundbite. You heard what he said. What do you think? I mean, we don't think that he meant that, it doesn't matter, but it doesn't sound good to say stuff happens. It counts, like, well, the shooting happens. I mean, it sounds like there's nothing that can be done. I mean, how does he fix that?
It was an inappropriate way to address the situation, but what he was saying is the fact that we cannot be reactionary when we get in situations like these. This act of domestic terrorism which occurred is something that we need to focus on, not just policy solutions that prevent these kind of things from happening, but also we need to make sure that we are conducting the right investigation and learning the facts when they come to the fold. President Obama said something that I thought was particularly interesting. He said that he wanted to politicize this situation. That's something that we shouldn't be doing. The fact of the matter is this situation occurred because, in some ways, the shooter said that he was going to kill people because of their Christian beliefs. He asked, are you a Christian? And if they said yes, he shot them in the head. If they said no, then he shot them in the leg. We need to be talking about the fact that there is domestic terrorism going on, and the impact of it is on Christians. We saw it in South Carolina where there was a church that was shot. People were shot up, 9 people were shot and murdered, and we saw it in this particular instance as well. I think that the Republican,
What about every other hour? I mean, it's not just that we have one mass shooting a day. Not all of them are against Christians. We have one mass shooting a day, one shooting death an hour. What about those answers? I mean, I think what the president is trying to do here is he is creating a call to action. The lawmakers who take their oath to protect and represent people are not doing that right now. They're representing gun manufacturers.
Listen, Nomiki, I'm from Chicago. We've had the most comprehensive gun control laws on the books forever. There was a ban on handguns, but yet every every time you look at the news in Chicago, there's 50 people shot in a weekend. So we know that gun control laws aren't being helpful in Chicago because at the end of the day, it only deters law-abiding citizens. Criminals are still going to get guns, and we cannot politicize
Gianno,
a domestic terrorist
what would be a
act.
solution? What would be an idea, a solution here? I mean, obviously, it is a political issue as well as a moral issue. What would be an idea, a solution?
Peter King, Congressman Peter King, he has a background check bill that's in Congress now. It was introduced, I believe, in March. That's an idea. We need to make sure that folks that are mentally disturbed don't have access to weapons. That's an idea, and I think Donald Trump mentioned that.
All
so
right, we're going to bring you guys back later in the hour. We're running out of time here, so hold on to those ideas. There's a lot more to discuss. Thank you very much. We appreciate your time. We're going to bring you back a little bit later. Okay, we'll be right back.